Hey, everybody, welcome to the Master Passive Income Show. My name is Dustin Heiner, and I'm here to help you get financial independence, quit that JOB, that just overbooked job, by investing in real estate so you never ever have to work a job again. Today, I'm super pumped to bring on a good friend of mine who actually, what's really fun is we met at a conference. She came up to me and we started talking, and she started expressing how she actually invests in real estate. She helps people to invest in real estate. Fast forward now, it's been a couple of years now. She's come to the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference. She spoke last year, MC'd last year, and she's doing it again. She's also an amazing real estate investor, written a book, 30-Day Stay, fantastic book talking about midterm properties, which is another fantastic way to hold your rental properties. She has multiple properties and currently in her Airbnb. And I brought her on the show because she's going to be sharing about how we can invest in real estate, how we can do midterm properties, and how even coming to Rubicon that we can actually connect and get to know so many amazing people. And honestly, if it wasn't for that one conference that Sarah and I was able to meet up at, we wouldn't actually be connected. We wouldn't be helping each other out and working together. So anyways, I'm super blessed to have a good friend of mine, Sarah Weaver, on the show. Sarah, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Dustin. It's really good to be here. And you're right. I remember that day so vividly, where I met you at that conference. And what's really cool is a lot of these relationships have started at various conferences. And so turns out being what I call a self-proclaimed conference junkie can have a lot of positives.
Well, 100%. Well, but here's the big thing I found out about conferences, and we're not going to just talk about conferences. We're going to talk about real estate. But when people go to a conference, those are the people that are literally putting their money where they want to go. They're not just kicking tires. They're not just like, oh, I'm just reading books. And no, no, these are action takers. They are literally flying. They're literally paying money for a ticket. They're paying money for a hotel, for food and travel and all that stuff. But I kid you not, like I try to find more conferences to go to with people that I want to connect with, the right types of people that I connect with. And 100%. So, Sarah, you are honestly right now, well, number one, I love how much you travel. You travel all over the world. You even help people in their travel. And we have something that we're going to share here. The first time we're going to share it is going to be on this podcast that Sarah and I are doing, that other people can be welcome to join us, but we'll hold that for just a little bit. But you love traveling. You love just really
Yeah.
experiencing life and sharing with other people. Now, walk me through how you invest in real estate and how that allows you to literally be, and you like the term, or I know the term and you know the term, nomadic, where you can move around, you don't have to be stuck anywhere. But how does that afford you to be able to do that with your life?
Yeah, I think people think real estate is this like fixed, location. Obviously, you buy a house, it's not moving, and you're going to be cleaning toilets or, doing showings. But the reality is that's just not what it looks like to be a real estate investor today. So I bought property in a state that I wasn't living in, and that is how I got started. And so I realized very early on that I didn't need to invest in my backyard, that my backyard can be anywhere. And then I put together some systems. It wasn't always, the most systematic, but now I'm confident to say that I have some systems where I feel really confident I could buy a rental property anywhere in the world. And that's exactly what I do.
Well, with that, you've also, and I love this idea. So we are business owners. Even though we're real estate investors, that's one business that we own. And with that, there are so many small businesses, or not even just small, but just businesses that we can create in our lives because we have 40 plus hours of our life back, not working for somebody else. And then in our businesses, we see either a need for us or a need for somebody else. Like for me, I invest in real estate. Then I had a lot of people wanting me to teach them. So I started doing that. Then a lot of people wanted me to connect other people. So I created the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference, which you're obviously going to be speaking at and doing the MC, which literally like hundreds of people came to me. Sarah did such a great job with the MC. Well, we'll get to that in just a minute. But you created a company that actually helps people promote, not promote, that's not right, but furnish and stage and get a midterm or short-term property ready and ready for
Yeah.
short-term tenants without actually living there. That sounds like a lot of work, but you seem to have developed this business as well as an ability to do this anywhere in the country. Is that right?
Yeah, so what happened is I convinced people, "Hey, you should buy a, duplex in Iowa even if you live in Arizona." And and then people's questions were, well, how do I furnish it? And I was like, oh, my team can do it for you. And Dustin, at the beginning, my team was a figment of my imagination. It was like my mom, my dad, and me. And then I realized really quickly that people actually had this problem and that I could come up with the solution. And so I brought in a co-founder of Arya Design Services. The reason we call the company Arya is we met at a boutique hostel in Bali, Indonesia, and the hostel was called Arya. It unfortunately didn't survive COVID, so it's now named something else. And so, kind of an ode to that location in Bali, we decided to name our company Arya, and so it just continues to show like travelers in my life are really a big part of my why. I travel so that I can meet people like my business partner who I'm like, man, that person was so interesting. So that years later, I mean, we're talking years later, I had an idea and I thought, huh, I should call that girl that I met in Bali and see if she'd be interested in doing this with me. And we have now served over 70 real estate investors, helping them furnish and launch their out of state rentals. So we've helped California investors buy in Omaha and then furnish it without ever visiting the property. As I mentioned to you just this last weekend, which happened to be my birthday, Arya had a 5-bedroom house in Omaha, Nebraska, where we got 11 inches of snow. And that's exactly what we
Negative,
helped
or
our
it's like
client
20,
do is
negative 22
oh,
degrees when you're there on your
negative
birthday.
22 degrees. Negative 22. I was like, I'm getting a tropical
And
birthday
wait,
next year. I
so
don't care where it is, but I want warm weather.
I love how you have this business that you've created. Now, what's interesting to me, so I have property in Ohio, and when it is negative 20 degrees or even like 20 degrees, people don't move. And yet you are out there working, you and your company are getting furniture.
We're at Target, Dustin, like bundled up. Like for anyone that has experienced true winter weather, I mean, it takes like 4 minutes to even get dressed because you have to like put everything on and then oh, you forgot your gloves on the other side of the house. So you have to take your boots off again. Everything is harder. So our client who hired us, she is a genius because she probably knew I do not want to furnish a 5-bedroom in the middle of winter
Uh-uh.
in Omaha. And it's interesting, this woman, she's a real estate agent, real estate investor. Her husband flips about 50 homes a year. They own short-term rentals in Colorado, Omaha, actually your neck of the woods in Arizona. And they just knew that their time was better spent on something else. And so they hired Aria Design Services because not only will we schlep things, in the snow, but also we save them a lot of money. The very first thing she said to me, and I think she'd feel fine, I'm sharing this story. The first thing that she said to me was, I overspend. Like, I have so much fun decorating the place that I go a little crazy and I overspend. And so when I looked at Aria Design and I realized your fee didn't include furnishing, but then when I added your fee plus the furnishing, I realized I was still within budget what it was going to cost me to furnish. So it was a no-brainer to hire you guys to do it.
That's so terrific. And with that, because I'm thinking, because I've always done just long term, get a vacant house, just make sure it's walls painted, carpets done, and all that good stuff. And then
Yeah.
get a tenant. They're going to bring all their stuff in. I personally never actually done that, but I've been to plenty Airbnbs. I've been to plenty uh, short term stays where I know what looks good, what doesn't look good, or what's bad. Like, oh, they should have, like, this is chipped and all that sort of stuff. And I'm glad that you guys have that. Now, let's switch gears just a little bit because you also travel a lot. Like, you love traveling, which is so fantastic. And in fact, from the recording next week, you and I are going to be hanging out in Florida at Podfest,
Yeah.
a conference where we're talking about another conference, fantastic conference like Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference, but for podcasters, which is just super phenomenal. But you love to travel, and with that, when you're, because you have social media that really helps you to reach out to people that maybe either want to invest with you, work with you, use REI design services. So talk to me about how you're able to travel so much. Obviously, we know you have real estate. That's where most bulk of money comes in. But how does all
Yeah.
this tie together? Because you live it really, really well.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's really intentional, Dustin. Like being remote was my number one goal back in 2015. So way before COVID, before I invested in real estate, being a digital nomad, or back in the day, I called it location independent. And being location independent was like the number one goal for me. And so that's been top of mind and continue to like think with intention and live with intention as I do that. And so now all of my businesses, the design firm, my coaching business, my invested adventure business, which we'll talk about, and even managing and self managing, because I'm insane, all of my properties, I can do it from anywhere in the world. And so oftentimes I'm traveling from one conference to another, but sometimes I also plug in some really fun things in there. So, for example, I'm going to Argentina after I see you in Orlando. Again, meeting up actually funny with my business partner with the design firm. So we thought that would be a good place to do a business trip. And then we're boarding a ship in Ushuaia, the southernmost tip of Argentina, and taking a cruise to Antarctica. And what's
I
really
remember that.
unique,
I
yeah,
wish
and
I was
what's
going
really
with you.
unique,
My goodness.
I wish you were coming too. Just people have asked, they're like, why would you want to go there? Well, first of all, it's warmer in Antarctica than it is in Nebraska. So, like, if people are like, "Oh, I hate winter," I'm like, "Yeah, I'm excited to leave Nebraska and go to Antarctica because it will be warmer there." But more importantly, the whales and the penguins and
Mhm.
there's something just really magical when you are like immersed in nature. I love hiking, which is funny because I wouldn't consider myself an athlete by any means, but I love hiking and I love being in nature. But then there's something magic that happens when you're around animals. And so I'm so excited to go to Antarctica and see the whales and the penguins. And then the coolest part is that this is a part of one of my other businesses. So this is an invested adventure trip. So I own a company, Invested Adventures, and we take real estate investors on epic trips around the world. And so Antarctica is just yet one of my, one of my crazy ideas. Basically, I met a girl who had been to Antarctica. She showed me her photos, and I was like, yep, I'm going to do that.
I love it. I love it. And so you and I being entrepreneurs and investors, and I think everybody, if you're going to go down the route of being an investor, you need to become a problem solver. And I see that with
Yes,
you with Arya Design Services, with Invested Ventures, with all the coaching that you do. You figure out that there are problems out there, and you make sure that you solve those problems. And in any business,
absolutely.
that's what it's all about: is where is there a problem that I can solve, or where's a service that I can provide a service to, or somebody has a need and I can provide service, and then we figure out those problems that are in the way, and we get over those hurdles. Like you might be thinking, or somebody might be listening and saying, "Hey, I really would like to go to Antarctica, but I'm never going to go because I don't know how to do it." Well, you don't let that stop you. You figure out the ways to actually make it happen, which I'll get to. I'll get to what you and I are going to be doing, and in just a second. But let's talk quickly about the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference. Now, this is going to be the second time you've come to the conference, and you did the MC from the very beginning last year, the whole time, and I kid you not, I literally had countless people come to me and say, "Sarah is so awesome. The emceeing, she just makes everything so alive, everything so much fun." And you knew everything about everybody. Anyways, it was fantastic, as well as you taught on the 30-day stay, how to do midterm rentals, all that sort of stuff. Tell me about, why do you come to RubeCon?
Yeah, for me, Dustin, well, first of all, thank you so much for like allowing me this opportunity and for just the continued onslay of compliments. I really appreciate words of affirmation is my love language, so I much appreciated. But RubeCon for me, it was really something interesting. One of the things that really sticks out to me about you is that you focus on getting people out of their job. And I think a lot of people are interested in leaving their job. Like, oh, yeah, I would love to quit. Oh, my boss. Oh, I love what you say, job. Like, I know that a lot of people are interested in that, but you attract people who are committed to leaving their job. And so I think even what you say with like being successfully unemployed, it is really just a type of environment that we don't get in other conferences or other communities within real estate investing. And I think focusing on that piece for me was really important. When I became intentional with replacing my income through real estate investing, I was so zeroed in on, like, I had on my journal, "I want to be a quitter," because that's what I wanted. I really, really wanted to quit my job, and not because I didn't love my job. I had a great job. Also, my friends will tell you that I enjoy everything that I do, so it's really hard for me to find something I really, really don't like. But I really was committed to quitting, and I think because that was one of my mini goals, I got there pretty fast. And when I came to RubeCon, that was something that I noticed as I was like, wow, this room is young. And I'm not saying young, I mean, I'm not saying like it's a bunch of 20 somethings, but what I see when I look at the RubeCon community is these are vibrant, energizing people who have a lot of life to live. And we're not talking, years or age by any means, but these are people that have a lot of life to live and do it with intention, and they want to build wealth, hence, real estate wealth builders, and they want to be successfully unemployed. And I think that that's something really unique that you're building, Dustin.
Thank you. And I love how you touched on the people in the room who are at the conference. Speakers, it starts with the speakers. Like we're bringing our audiences together. We're helping everybody that already gravitate to us to meet other like-minded investors that are part of a bunch of different communities, because that's the whole thing that it's all about. For me, the RubeCon, the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference, is all about connecting more people and helping them to invest. And I love that you, as well as the other speakers, are a part of something that my vision for my life, because I quit my job, because I have real estate, I'm financially independent. I'm blessed to have that. Now I can focus on serving other people. And now for
Yep.
me, what I love is that now my goal in life is to help 1 million people to invest in real estate. Now, with that, hopefully they could eventually become financially independent. They keep moving forward. But with this, we're going to be teaching so many people how to invest. And you guys are a part of this, where we're all lifting, like basically the rising tide lifts all boats. That's what we do, is we help everybody to rise in that. Now you're going to be talking about, you're going to have your own breakout session. Have you already, we haven't, you and I actually, I'm just talking this about it right now. So what have you planned on? What would you like to talk about here at the RubeCon?
Oh, I'm so glad that you asked. I think that there's really two pieces of my story that I think are the most applicable and help the most people. Because I think people have two really issues keep coming up, especially for those investing in 2024. The first is those that haven't become successfully unemployed. They're like, how do I cash flow in today's environment? Well, I will continue to preach I call it a two ingredient cocktail: out of state investing with the medium term rental or midterm rental. So I think everyone should have an out of state MTR. However, that's only one issue that I mentioned. So then there's another group of people who are maybe unemployed or successfully unemployed. But I keep getting this question, Dustin, and maybe you do as well. It's, now what? Now what do I do? Or, okay, I hit my financial independence number, but it didn't quite feel like I thought it was. And so
Oh, yeah,
that's a
that's a good
oh,
point.
go ahead.
No, that's a
And
fantastic
so
point. I'll quickly say that when I became financially independent, it was an accomplishment. Just like when I bought my first property, it was an accomplishment, but I didn't feel fulfilled. Like I didn't feel like it was more than just accomplishment, like fulfilled in life. I didn't feel that. But when I started coaching people and my first student got their first property, I felt fulfilled. Like I helped another human being get what they wanted. And then now hundreds, if not thousands of students now, and lots and lots and lots of them actually quitting their job because that was their goal, then I feel so fulfilled because I've accomplished what I wanted to do, which was to help somebody else
Mhm.
achieve something that they wanted.
And what I think is so important is that people realize that you're building a life while you're building a portfolio. And so it's not just about hitting 10K a month in cash flow, or, 50 doors or even 20 doors. That is not really the goal. the goal is to build a fantastic life along the way. And so, as you mentioned, Dustin, for you, it's giving back. And for a lot of real estate investors, it doesn't have to be as philanthropic. It could be, do you want to spend more time with your family? Do you want to spend less time with your family? I don't know. Do people want to take better care of their physical health? I know one of my students, he's really into cycling. And I don't know why someone would want to do this, but he just wants to ride his bicycle for like 7 hours on a Saturday.
That sounds
And
crazy to
and
me.
yeah, that's not my idea of fun. And that's the point. The point is that we're building a life that works for us. And
Yes,
so for
everybody's
me,
different.
like I hiked Kilimanjaro this summer, which is in Tanzania, Africa. And for a lot of people, they're like, oh my God, that sounds terrible. Whereas so many people, actually, another speaker at RubeCon, he was like, that was my bucket list. And he actually did it a few years ago. And so everybody's different. And I think that is why there isn't really a lot of books on what's next, like what happens after you hit financial independence. And so that's why I think it's so important that we start to have a conversation so that people can figure out, how do you build a life alongside building a portfolio, and how do you optimize your life for more joy, more freedom, and more service? Because whether you want to serve, a million investors like you, Dustin, or if you just want to serve your family more or your community, um, I think that everyone wants more time so that they can give back in some way.
I
And some
totally
people
agree.
just need to give back to themselves.
Oh, 100% agree. Everybody has a different goal set or, risk tolerance, their financial, like everybody's different. Like just because I love the term and I wanted to be successfully employed doesn't mean everybody's that way, which is totally fine. Everybody has different desires and wants and needs and likes. But with that, that's what I love about having RubeCon is we're going to have so many amazing people that have, like, we have 40 plus speakers now, Sarah. It's just amazing. I'm actually having like, oh my goodness, how are we going to fit everybody? I'll do it. I'll figure it out because that's what we do. We solve problems. But what you were saying was 100% right on. And so I love that there are four different legacies that somebody should have in their life. Number one is a money legacy, basically having enough money to afford whatever it is they want. Number two, and this money leads into the next one, which is time, a time legacy to have time to do whatever, go wherever, but basically spend the time that you want. So money leads into time. Time then leads into a relationship legacy. Maybe it's spending time with your family, or maybe your elderly parent is starting to get old and they need help, whatever it might be. You're now developing into your relationships because that's, if anything is going to be left behind you, is your legacy of the people that you talked with, you connected with, and loved on. So money leads into time,
Yeah.
time leads into relationships, relationships lead into service, where we have all these, then we can start focusing on the people. And I kid you not, and you know this, Sarah, the more people that I serve, the more I feel fulfilled. The more other people look at me and say, Dustin, thank you. Thank you so much. And that is thanks enough for
Yeah.
me. Like just the ability for somebody to get what they want, whatever it is in life, travel more or live the life of their dreams, whatever it might be. That is so fulfilling. Have you seen that in your life? Like now having enough money, then having enough time, and you've done plenty of relationships with your, people around you. Like you have so much more ability to do that. Now you're serving other people.
Yeah, I think for me, it's what I did was not unique to me. So, for example, buying real estate out of state wasn't something that only Sarah Weaver can do. And if anything, I had a lot of obstacles in my way that hopefully other people don't, meaning a lot of my clients come to me and they're making well over six figures. Well, I wasn't. When I started investing, I was making $47,000. And so I like to show people, like, if this girl can do it, surely you can do it. Because I think what I did, while it's different and maybe unique, it's not special. And I sure as heck don't feel special because I did it. And so I think one of the ways that I can give back to the community is simply by telling my story, which I think I'm a pretty good storyteller. I think that's why you gave me the mic. And I know that
Absolutely.
one of my unique abilities is I also can make complex processes really, really simple. It all actually ties back to, I have a degree in journalism. And for those of you that don't know, when you write and for the newspaper, you're writing at a third grade level. Do you know how difficult it was? I actually covered the House and the Senate in Kansas, and I would be sitting in trying to understand these complex bills that they were
Writing for a
arguing
third grade
over, and I
level?
was and then turn around and explain it to people at a third grade level. And so I got really good at understanding complex things like financing a fourplex and doing the due diligence process from afar, and navigating the like furnishing and self-managing. This is all complex stuff. You don't have to be a genius to figure it out, but it is complex. Well, I'm really good at making it simple. So just yesterday I was in the car, and one of my students was having a bit of a panic, as sometimes you do as a real estate investor. And I was like, let's just hop on the phone. So we hopped on the phone. I walked her through the entire paperwork process of using private money, using hard money, and a DSCR loan to do the BRRRR strategy, to buy, renovate, rent, refinance. And I did all of this while I'm driving. So, and she's just like, wow, no one has ever explained it to me in that simple of terms.
I love it. And I've literally done that exact same thing, driving a car because a student was getting a little anxious about something. And then like, hey, let's just jump on a call. It's not as bad as as it seems and you think it is. And what you just need is you need to know your options out there. And that's something that I think you and I are really, really good at, is breaking things down so that people can understand it as opposed to talking over people's heads. Because when I've had you on the show before, as well as the Successfully Unemployed podcast, and with that, some other people that are investing in real estate that aren't, I would say, they haven't practiced. They probably haven't done that much work to try to dumb it down. It's not, that's a bad way to say it. Make it relatable to every single person is the best way to say it. They would give
Yeah,
not analogies, acronyms, or say this ratio or that. Like they get so into the weeds. I'm like, I'm literally an expert, and I'm just like, I'm barely keeping up with you. Like, come on, like you're not helping anybody else. You're not also. And here's the sad thing: hopefully they don't think this. They think maybe they might be thinking, well, I sound smarter, so it's gonna. No, no, no. It doesn't come across that well. Comes across like, oh, I don't want to listen anymore because I have no clue what you're saying. So I fully
exactly.
appreciate it. And you know what's kind of interesting? And you and I were talking a little while ago, and so I was looking at the master passive income audience. I was thinking, man, we're about like, I don't know, 75% male. And then I was, the balance of 25% being female. And so I was like, man, we got to figure out a way to help females here at Master Passive Income. Then I was looking at you and so everybody, you definitely need to check her out on Instagram. She has lots, like Instagram and Facebook. So at Sarah D Weaver, don't forget the D, Sarah D Weaver. But she has so much great content. But then I was also noticing, like your pictures, Sarah, that you post about the retreats that you do and everything. I was noticing, I was like, huh, it's about 75% female and then 25%
Yeah,
male. So, anyways, this leads into what I was I guess alluding to at the very beginning. So Sarah and I, we're gonna unveil this, that we are super
secret
excited.
project.
Secret project, yes, exactly. And I am a traveler as well. Like Sarah and I, we're two peas in a pod. I'm a traveler as well. I love traveling. Done lots and lots. 6 weeks in Japan, 6 weeks traveling 18. No, sorry, 11 different countries, 6 weeks. Anyways, lots of traveling myself. I love it. And then I was talking to Sarah. I said, Sarah, how about we do something where we actively have an adventure for Master Passive Income? Anybody who's a part of
Yes.
the podcast, the community, and anybody who's a part of the Rubicon, the Real Estate Wealth Builders community, we can offer that to them. Now, we have something coming up. Sarah, do we want to just tease it or do we want to actually unveil it right now?
Let's just tell them. I'm ready.
Let's
Are
just
you
tell them.
ready?
Okay, I'm totally ready. So, I'm super, super excited about this. I literally thought it would be great to bring awesome real estate investors, go on a bucket list type trip, not like going to Cabo. Yeah, anybody go to Cabo and just, hang out in there. That's totally fine. But I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go where I want to go. And you and I were talking with your adventure company, the investor adventure company. I was thinking, you know what? We could bring a lot of investors. And with that, go to a bucket list a destination and talk real estate, mastermind, help each other out, and do some awesome experiences that we come back thinking, my goodness, I made some lifelong friends here. And so, with
Yes.
that, Sarah, I'll let you unveil it. You brought up the idea of not just going to someplace like Cabo or Costa Rica, which those are fine, but going something a little more adventurous. And I never thought I'd be going to this place. But, Sarah, I'll let you go ahead and take over.
Excellent. When you say bucket list, this is exactly what this trip is. We are taking investors in your community to Tanzania for an African safari.
African safari. Guys, you heard that right. Literally an African safari. Honestly, like out of I usually travel to not third world countries, like literally like the first world, like Europe and Japan and stuff like that. I was like, I would like to go to South Africa, but eh, I'll never do it because I've never done it before. I didn't know anybody, and you brought it up. I said, deal. Let's let's do it. I can't
Yes.
wait.
Yeah, so I'll give everyone more of the details. So there are still spots available. If you guys are interested in coming, please, please, please join us. We will be going July 27th to August 3rd. So for those of you with families, it's still kind of the tail end of the summer. So hopefully that works really well for everyone. And we would love to have you. And Dustin, what I love about this particular adventure is it really is an adventure. Guys, we are going to, I mean, I can't guarantee it's nature. So this is not a money back guarantee with what I'm about to say. However, you will see whales. You will, without a doubt, see so many elephants, monkeys, incredible wildlife that you're going to constantly be like, what's that? What's that? What do we call that? And what I loved about this trip is that it turned everyone that I was with into like an excited 13-year-old. And I don't know about you, Dustin, but I think that there's a lot of people listening who they crave that feeling. They're like, man, it has been a long time since I've been like giddy and excited about something. And maybe as a kid, you were like really into Legos and you would just build and build and build and you would love it. Well, there's not a lot of adults that bring hobbies like that that give them like awe and excitement and giddiness into their adulthood. And so my hope is that people that come on this trip, you guys get like a little bit of glimpse into that childlike excitement that everyone deserves. And I'm not going to say that you're going to be childlike excitement the entire time. However, I guarantee it will happen multiple times a day because this trip is something that is so carefully curated with people like you in mind.
And here's another thought on top of that. Like the trip is going to be phenomenal. I have no doubt. I saw the pictures because you did this trip, and with that, I saw so many like raving reviews from this. And when you said I want to do it again, I said that I wish I would have gone the first time. So this is great. We could actually do it again. But on top of that, everybody that comes, you're going to be around me and Sarah, real estate investors, and well as all of our like friends and network that's going to be a part of this. Like other investors are like we're going to literally have a bond together with this. So you definitely want to be there. So we don't have anything set up yet, but as soon as this is aired, you'll check the link in the description where you can go ahead and sign up. Go ahead and sign up. The link will be in the description. I don't know what it is. Literally, I can't say it right now because it'll be in the description. But what we want you to do is, well, let me ask you this, Sarah, because we could take just about anybody, but should we create like an application process? Like they have to actually apply to be a part of it? Because honestly, like this it is for real estate investors and anybody can come, but at the same time, I like to curate my company that I'm around. Same thing with like RubeCon. All the speakers, they're my friends and they're people that I said, I picked you for a reason because you're a
Yeah.
great fit. What are your thoughts?
I think it's really important that people that come on this trip understand that this is for someone that's serious about real estate investing. I think that there is a time and a place for the interested party. I don't like to say looky loo because that sounds like a negative, but someone that's like, "Oh yeah, maybe I want to invest in real estate." I don't think the African safari is for you. Who I think the African safari is for the real estate investor who knows that they're missing this piece of community, and they're craving connection unlike anything before. Because of course we're going to see animals, we're going to like have incredible food with incredible views of sunsets in the Serengeti. Like it doesn't get better than this, you guys. But the magic of the safari on coming on this particular trip in July is that these drives in the car, you're going to be sitting next to someone that likely does or has something that you want. And so it is so cool to be like, how did you buy that boutique hotel? Or the person behind you, you're like, how did you raise $1 million using social media? And what's so cool is that everyone there is of abundance mindset. And so they're going to give you their entire playbook. And you're able to ask questions and have conversations that otherwise you wouldn't. And so I think I can speak for both Dustin and I. We really want people on the trip who are going to fit into that conversation really well. And so we do ask that you're serious about real estate investing. You don't have to be a full-time investor. You don't have to be successfully unemployed. However, you do have to be a real estate investor to come on this trip.
I agree. Totally agree. And I totally wholeheartedly agree with that. So if that fits you, definitely check link in the description. We want you to be with us. And with that, you're going to have so much fun. Like I am so pumped to do this. My wife, so praise the Lord, my wife is pregnant with our fifth child. It's 11 years between our fourth and our newborn. That's going to be in May. And so my wife is so wanting to go to this trip, but I'm like, babe, number one, you can't bring the baby. I mean, that's gonna be like what, 4 months old? Three, no, 3 months old. Number one, but number two, you can't leave the baby. So I'll have to do another one eventually with her, just
You
me and
will.
her. But
And
this,
you'll want to, Dustin. That's the coolest thing is that I met someone came on my trip. It was her third safari, a real estate investor out of St. Louis.
wow.
And I was like, "Man, why would you go on 3 safaris? Like there's so many places in the world that I want to see." Now that I've gone on safari, yep, I'm pretty sure I'll go on safari multiple times in the next 10 years because it's that good. And so if for anyone listening, if it has ever crossed your mind that you want to go on a safari, but you weren't sure about the cost or the time or even just the long flight there, I can tell you with confidence that it is absolutely worth it. And as a serial entrepreneur and a real estate investor, guys, it's a tax write off. What better way to have a bucket list experience than
It's
to
such
tie
a
it into a
win-win.
business expense? Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh man, Sarah, I know you and I can absolutely keep talking literally forever, but I want people to know how to find you and connect with you. We're going to have the link in the description for you to come. And everybody listening, you're also seeing how much fun you're going to have at RubeCon. I have so many awesome people just like Sarah and myself. Literally, here's really what it came down to. I said, I want to put on a party with my friends and then invite everybody else to come and hang out with us. So this is going to be amazing. Same thing with the safari. We have it's just I literally love connecting with people, working with people. And so Sarah, we want people to connect with you, work with, and even, find your book. How can they do that?
Absolutely. The best place is my website, sarahdweaver.com. If you liked anything that we talked about, if you want to come on the African safari, but you have questions, please, please, please reach out to me. If you are still not sure, which I don't know why, but if you're still not sure that RubeCon is a good fit for you, please, please, please reach out to me because I promise you, conferences make all the difference as far as not just they're motivated and inspiring. Sure, you leave motivated, but then you leave with at least a handful of emails and phone numbers of people that you can call when you get stuck. And so my hope is that I see you guys at RubeCon and then eventually on Safari with Dustin and I this summer.
Awesome. And you guys can definitely check out Sarah on Instagram and Facebook and all the good stuff. Sarah D. Weaver. Just like, if you want to reach out to her, that's a great way to reach out to her. She's so active on there. But Sarah, just like all the other speakers at RubeCon, you're such a giver and I really appreciate you. So glad you came up to me at that conference that we were at and said, hey, let's chat, see how we can help each other out. Love it. Sarah, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Dustin.